Do you have a voice in your head that tells you that you're too much or not enough, or maybe that you're lazy or broken or embarrassing or unlovable, or the one I used to have, which I'd always say I was stupid? Well, I want you to know that that voice is not your voice. You inherited it, and you've been believing the wrong narrator for 10, 20, 30, 50 years, depending on your age. So you don't actually dislike yourself. You're being haunted by the absorbed voice of a childhood caregiver who either directly criticized you or indirectly criticized you through their tone, their body language, their indifference, their absence, or they shamed you because in those moments, what you didn't realize is they were transferring their own unhealed emotional pain into you and were telling you how they think and feel about themselves, but they made you responsible for carrying it for them. That's why affirmations haven't worked, why gratitude lists feel hollow, and why self-compassion sounds like a foreign language. Because you've been trying to be kinder to yourself, but the problem is not your kindness. The problem is that you're arguing with the wrong narrator, and you're carrying pain and shame that is not yours. But you don't know how to give it back to the caregiver who placed that voice inside you. It's like a client of mine, she was in her mid-50s, and she sat across from me, and after telling me a little bit about her life struggles, she just summed it all up with, I'm just so sick of hating myself, Kenny. So I asked her, when you're alone at night, or maybe it's early in the morning, or you're out for a walk, and the worst version of you starts talking, whose voice does that sound like? She paused, and then it hit her. It's my mother. Oh my God, word for word. Even the tone is the same. I could totally relate because I struggled with the same thing. And as she broke down, not really because anything new had happened, but because something old had finally been seen. And as I said, I can relate. When I was in trouble as a kid, my dad he'd always call me Kenneth. He had this big booming voice, saying, Kenneth. And he'd just look at me with this expression that just said, what were you thinking? So as an adult, until I did this work that I'm going to share with you in a little bit, I used to silently talk to myself the exact same way. I would just, I played a lot of sports, and I'd make a mistake, and I'd hear that, Kenneth, what were you thinking? And I tended to talk it out loud. I just repeat his words, the Kenneth, but the indirect message from his body language, the set of his eyes. And so that's the indirect. Like, people get confused. They're like, well, my parents never talked to me that way. It's not just their words. Many times it's the indirect message that gets sent to us that we then hear them saying, you're this, because we see their tone, their body language, the expression on their face. It creates an emotional feeling sentence in our brain that we then repeat. And though they didn't say those words, our brain and body is replaying that vision of them, which we extracted. That expression, that tone and body language means this. And we say that to ourselves on repeat the rest of our lives. So that's what we're going to tackle today. And the first thing to realize is that is coming from the day you were born until somewhere around the age of 7. Most of this gets implanted before we're even really conscious of it. And that's because your brain is in what neuroscientists call a theta brainwave state, which is basically hypnosis with absolutely no emotional firewall. So you're not learning emotions or beliefs intellectually. You are absorbing them and downloading them. So whatever your caregiver said to you, or about you, or around you, or the way they looked at you, all of that was filed straight into the part of your brain that doesn't distinguish between their opinion and your identity. So when mom sighed and said, you're just so dramatic, You didn't file that as her opinion. You filed it as the truth about you. And one dad muttered, "What's wrong with you?" You didn't hear it as him having a bad day. You heard a God. We usually place fathers in that God-like position. You heard him as a God making a pronouncement. So when the room went silent every time you cried, you didn't learn your parents were emotionally illiterate and emotionally detached and emotionally struggling with their own issues. What you learned was something about you was unbearable and unlikable and not deserving of care. So those moments didn't pass. They just stacked on top of each other. So by the time you were old enough to read, you had fully installed an internal narrator who sounded so much like you that you assumed it was you. Now this is what I call the shame-based child, and it sits in the driver's seat of your inner life. There are actually really 3 voices alive inside you in this moment. There's the hurt inner child who's still afraid and still longing for the love he or she never quite got. Then there's the shame-based child who took every cruel emotional definition he or she absorbed and turned it into a survival persona that's now driving the car. And it criticizes the driver nonstop and grades every passenger. And then there's the authentic adult self who's hearing this video right now, who knows underneath all of those messages that something's off, that this can't be the truth, that there's something underneath all of that noise. So when you say, "I hate myself," it's never the adult, authentic self speaking. It is the shame-based child relaying the caregiver's voice in first person with such precision that you mistake the ventriloquism for your own opinion of yourself. So what you're stuck in is something I call the worst day cycle, which I wrote about in my first book, Your Journey to Success. And it consists of 4 stages: trauma, fear, shame, and denial. Now, the trauma was the original moment where you absorbed the cruel words that were said either directly or indirectly, the cold silences or the disappointed faces. Now, the fear is if you ever stop believing that voice, you'll lose your connection to the caregiver. Even if they're gone, even if they're not on this planet anymore, even if they have not deserved your loyalty in decades, you will stay stuck needing and craving that connection. And then comes the shame. And this is that voice that says wanting to disagree with these beliefs about yourself makes you arrogant or disloyal or selfish or wrong. And the way we cover all of that up is denial, because it puts a deceptively reasonable mask on top of the whole thing. And this is where you tell yourself, "No, I'm just being honest with myself. I really am like this." When in reality, you're just quoting somebody else and stamping your name on it. So this is why the typical self-help can't reach this. Affirmations talk back to the voice without ever questioning the source. Gratitude journals just try to overpower the channel without changing the broadcast. Self-compassion practices speak to the wound while the wound is being delivered in real time by an installed speaker you have not even yet identified. So you can't heal a voice that isn't yours because it's not your responsibility to heal your caregiver's pain. What you need to do is to learn how to reclaim your authentic adult voice. And that's what I'm going to help you do. I'm going to help you hear it for the first time in just a few minutes. Because if you don't separate their voice from your voice, you'll spend the rest of your life trying to become a person the inherited narrator will finally approve of. And that person does not exist because the narrator was never designed to approve of anyone. It's your parents' unhealed pain and shame. So you'll just keep picking partners, bosses, and friends whose voices match the original frequency. You will train your own children to absorb your version of it. And the actual you, the one this video is meant for, will spend a lifetime auditioning to be acceptable to a recording. Okay? So the first step in reclaiming your authentic voice is what I call the authentic self cycle. And I wrote about this in my second book, Your Journey to Being Yourself. And this combats the worst day cycle. And it consists of 4 stages also. Truth, responsibility, healing, and forgiveness. So the first step, truth, is recognizing that this voice that shames you and belittles you and talks down to you is not yours. It's an emotional inheritance of your caregiver's unhealed worst day cycle and emotional blueprints that they dumped into you. Okay? Responsibility is the second phase, and this is where we recognize that we can't fix or heal our caregivers, nor can we ask them to change, because we're adults now. So it's our responsibility to do the healing work to reclaim our authentic voice. And that's what moves us into step 3. And this is where we make a commitment to developing the skills and tools to identify their voice, but stop listening to the caregiver's voice and begin learning how to listen to our own authentic self's voice. And stage 4, forgiveness, arrives at the end, after you've grieved what was actually done to the small version of you. Now I want to provide you with the skills and tools so you're able to hear your authentic self and your authentic voice for the first time in your life. So the next time that critical, shaming voice arrives and says something like, "You're pathetic. What were you thinking? Why can't I get anything right?" Or whatever it is that your shame-based voice mantra is, my suggestion is to use what my emotional authenticity method, which consists of 6 steps. Now, the first step is to get into metacognition, because it's the space between thinking and feeling, and it's where we can access our authentic self. And we do this by taking 30 to 60 seconds just to listen to what's around us. What can you hear in the room? Like my ice machine just went off while I was filming this, okay? I can hear the birds chirping outside. As I move, I can hear my shirt rustling against itself. Now, we do this because your nervous system has to calm down before you can ever hear your voice. You have to down-regulate away from that emotional blueprint nervous system of their unhealed pain that was installed in you and get closer to your actual normal emotional regulation thermometer, okay? Then you move to steps 2 and you ask yourself, what am I actually feeling underneath these words? Do you feel ashamed, watched, graded, unworthy, never enough? What is it? Then you locate it in your body, because we store all of these emotional blueprints in our body, and they're what create the thought, the emotional thought. And so we ask ourselves, where do I feel this in my body? Then we move to the next step and the next question. We ask ourselves, what's the earliest memory I have of feeling exactly like this and hearing exactly this language? We do this because this is a step where you finally see where your survival persona, emotional blueprint, and worst day cycle were installed by your caregivers, and how you haven't been living in your authentic self and you've been running their emotional tapes inside yourself. Then you move on to the next question and you ask, if I could never think or feel these feelings again, who would I be if I never had their voice in my head again? What would be left over? And that's where you hear it for the first time. Your new voice, free from all of their pain. And it speaks and feels and acts completely differently. It feels empowered, lighter, stronger, empowered, confident, clear, safe, strong. It has no sense of any of those words. They seem foreign to your authentic self voice. And now now that you're aware of who you really are before their pain was placed into you, now we have to do some work to make this new version, your authentic self, the automatic emotional blueprint that you run to replace the one that was dumped into you. And you do that, you cement the authentic self voice and remap and rewire your emotional blueprint with what I call feelization. And this is where you sit in the feeling of the authentic self. the one who's not being graded, not shamed, not being mocked, and you make it so strong that your body slowly builds a new, healthy emotional chemical addiction to the real voice instead of their voice. And that's how that haunting, destructive, hurtful voice ends. Now, before I go, I just want to say, you're not to blame, and you're not broken. You did the best you could with the information you had at the time. But now you know a lot more. You know about the worst day cycle. You know about emotional blueprints. You know about the authentic self cycle, and you know about emotional authenticity. So now you can choose for the first time in your life to equip yourself with the knowledge, skills, and tools to do more and recapture your authentic self and rewrite and remap your emotional blueprint with one that works for you, not against you. So don't forget, you were just emotionally programmed, but those emotional programs can be rewritten. So I hope this helped you, and I'll see you in the next video.